Hello everyone and welcome to our phonics lesson about alliteration. Now alliteration happens when words that start with the same sound are used repeatedly in a phrase or a sentence. Alliteration is a fantastic skill that helps children learn to hear and identify initial sounds at the beginning of words. This skill will help your child identify sounds in words, which will help them develop key reading skills. Now, I've called it playing with alliteration because there's lots of ways you can do alliteration, but make it more of a game, a little bit more fun, and really silly. One way to practice alliteration is to play with our names. Add a word in front of your name that begins with the same initial sound as your name. Why don't you practice these silly names with me, and then you can try with your own name. Lovely Lindsay. Bouncy Bobby. Speedy Sarah. Jazzy Jonathan. Roaring Ronnie. Cheeky Chad. Mighty Michael. Amazing Alicia. Now each one of these names, they begin with the same sound. So if we did Bouncy, Bobby, they both start with the b, b, b sound. So b, b, Bouncy, b, b, Bobby. Can you try doing that with your name? Think of a word that you can use to describe yourself and that begins with the first sound of your name and put it together. Oh, I forgot my last one. Giddy, Gabby. All right, so another way you can do alliteration is making some silly sentences. So I've got some pictures here. I've got some soup, a snake, and a pair of socks. Now, my sentence I decided to make with this was, when the slithering snake sneezed, he put on a spotty sock and slurped soup. It's really important to emphasize the sound like I did in my silly sentence. It really helps your child hear and identify those sounds. Let's go on to my next one. So this one, I've got a picture of an apple, an ant, and an ambulance. And they all begin with the sound ah. So the ant ate an abnormal apple, which gave him an ache. So he took the ambulance to accident and emergency. This one, I've got a picture of a tent, a tomato, and a tiger. The terrifying tiger tripped on the tent before falling into a tray of tomatoes. And my last picture here for my silly sentences are, I've got a picture of a pig painting with some colors and a paintbrush and a pumpkin. The peachy pink pig is painting the plump pumpkin. So those are some ways you can make some silly sentences. And the reason they're silly is because normally you wouldn't see a pig painting, would you? Nah. All right. Another way, some alliteration is by making a story using some pictures of some of your toys. So I've got some pictures here. I've got a parrot, some purple pastries on a pink plate, and a pirate princess. Can you guess what sound we're going to be using? You're right, we're working with the p, 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 p sound. So let me begin my story. Pete the parrot flew off his perch and out the window. He saw a pirate princess sitting on a plank. She had a pink plate with purple pastries. Pete squawked, "Please, pirate princess, can I have a purple pastry?" The pirate princess smiled. "Yes, you may, parrot." Pete the parrot pounced on the purple pastry and waved a thank you before returning to his perch. And here's my next story here. Now this story has a snail, some seashells, a squirrel, and a stump. And I've also got a hill, and the snail, he's on a slope. What sound do you think we're working with on this story? You're right, we're using the sound. All right, so let me begin my story. Sammy Snail slowly slides down the slope on his way to the tree stump. When he slides to a stop, he sees Steve the squirrel sitting on the tree stump with 6 seashells. Sammy Snail says, "Hello, Steve. Why do you have 6 seashells?" Steve the squirrel smiles. "So you can make your shell look smart for your slow strolls in the woods." Sammy Snail lets Steve the squirrel fasten the 6 seashells onto his shell, and both friends went for a stroll. So that was the last of my silly stories I made. Now, I wonder if you can make your own silly sentences or stories. You can record your silly sentences or stories and put them on Tapestry or send them to me via email. Now, another way to practice alliteration is also to do some tongue twisters, and there's loads of tongue twisters that you can find either on YouTube or just by Googling tongue twisters. I hope you enjoyed our lesson on alliteration, and I do look forward to seeing your silly sentences or stories. Have a lovely day. Take care.